So I'm going to try to improve Godot's editor file system and FileSystemDock. It's not really the original one, it's the one that I basically copied and I changed some stuff from the classes that they have. And I'm going to... I did a flowchart on ScarletDraw from the other project that I'm studying, which is Dolphin, which is basically a framework that you can use on, I think it's Linux. So like, I'm not really sure about like what variation of the Linux system, but like as far as I understand, this is used in the context of Linux and is the code related to the management of a file system. So I'm studying this source code now, and I'm probably gonna study this other one here, because this one is one that is used to optimize or to handle the backend, let's say, of the file system. So there's both this one and there is Qt. Qt is for the front end, is the libraries that they use. Libraries or frameworks, however you wanna call it. So Dolphin uses Qt for the front end, and then this library here for the back end. And I'm trying to optimize the editor file system because I'm creating a scene that's going to be an IDE scene on Godot. And it takes a very long time to be able to open a large directory, because the way that they did the class is not optimized. It's just for loading small directories, because obviously the purpose is to load the directory for the projects, which usually is not going to be very long. So what I have to do is so what I am thinking about doing now, which I wasn't sure, I'm still not 100% sure, but I think is a good idea. I'm gonna change the name of these files, and I'm gonna create a model view controller pattern. It's not gonna be exactly model view controller. There was a video from Go that I was watching. Like there's other patterns that are basically the same. They're very similar, but it's not the same. So I might call something else. But obviously, I'm gonna have the model, which is gonna be what it's currently supposed to be, the editor file system, and then I'm gonna have the view, which is the FileSystemDock. So I'm gonna change those names, and I'm gonna create another class that is gonna have the two different classes as components or as member variables, and that's gonna be the class that I'm gonna use to put on the scene. So the way that I'm thinking about it is that the FileSystemDock is gonna send a signal to this class, then the class is gonna manage like whatever happens, how it communicates with the model, which is the editor file system. The editor file system loads everything. So like to start off, I'm going to I'm just gonna refactor the classes, and I'm gonna try to think about, which might be very annoying because of the cycles and the thread. So I think that's the main thing I want to do first, to try to simplify, because right now the way that they are doing is based on the cycle of the editor file system. So they set up flags to after you call the function to scan the directory. That's going to initialize the thread, and then the thread is terminated, or they wait for the thread to finish on the notification process of the editor file system. And I think I'm going to, in the beginning, make based on events instead. So that's the first thing that I have to do. Yeah, so this is basically the video, very good video. I'm not subscribed here. But this channel is very good. And yeah, so I think that I'm gonna put the name as this. Obviously it doesn't matter that much, it's just the names, but I think presenter makes more sense instead of controller. But I'm not 100% sure. And I also have to remember, because I think if I run again, it's gonna go back to a previous state. So I have to remember that. I'll put some music for myself. Just gonna close everything. So think I'm gonna put this one as a file system view. I think it's better to make it short, so alpha is probably better. And then obviously I'm gonna change here as well. So I'm gonna compile and then I'm gonna see each time. Because obviously it might mess up because of the. So I'm matching the whole world, words. So I think that's not gonna mess up, but it might change some place that's are not supposed to change. So I think each change that I make, I'm going to compile again. I have to go back to the thing. These columns. I'm gonna change the names of the classes on the files first, then I'm going to change the name of the files. So I'm probably including the files on other places, so I think that's gonna break everything. I should search for it here actually. Then let's search everywhere. Not sure. I think it's fine to make this one like a model because it is gonna be very similar to the other one. I think it's different the way that they do the dolphin thing. It seems like, but this is like just the starting point. I have to get to that point. I want to change for. I have to delete these things as well. So I think that's I don't know for sure, but it's just intuitively I'm sensing that it's probably better to the main thing I think that is not very clear to me is whether or not it's gonna work with the Godot cycle because that's the main thing that I'm not 100% sure if it makes sense to do what I'm doing now. Because what I think that I'm gonna have to do is instead of doing stuff on the cycles of both classes, I think probably on the model I'm still gonna have to use notification because to like emit a signal, but maybe not actually. Yeah, I think the idea is gonna be to like remove this stuff from these classes as much as possible, and then put this on the cycle of the presenter. So the presenter is kind of like the event loop on Node.js, or on the scanner probably I'm gonna have to put some functions, but then everything else is done based on signals. So this class is the one that interacts with the viewer, the user. Then once the user does something, it triggers a callback function on this one. Then this one emits the signal to the presenter, which is the new class. Then the presenter sends the signal to the model. So the presenter has logic, or the controller has logic to determine like what is the state of the model. So maybe like in the future, that's the part obviously that I'm not really sure because I don't know how I'm gonna implement the optimizations yet. But I think it's just like, for example, could be like a queue or something like that on the presenter that keeps track of the events that happened, and then according to the state of the model, it's either wait like or calls a new thread or calls a function on the model that calls a new thread, and then does like other things. I think basically, so the question, I think the first thing to do is probably to create the other class. So like the question is how to incrementally send this stuff. So the first obviously is the name. So what's gonna be the name of this? I think for this one I'm gonna put the full name. So file system, I think presenter. The thing is, I'm not 100% sure about the pattern. So I'm gonna ask ChatGPT and see what it thinks. But I'm thinking about like in between this two here, because either way it's not gonna be exactly the same thing. So I guess the main difference between this shoe is that this one sends the data for the view directly. think that's why I was thinking that presenter makes more sense. The main goal that I have in the beginning is to simplify the flags there. And this is the part that I'm kind of concerned because I'm not really sure if it's gonna be hard to fix the bugs. And it's annoying to think about the flow of the Boolean variables there because it's very confusing. There's a lot of variables. And so I'm gonna ask ChatGPT what it thinks. So yeah, so this is another thing that I was thinking about is that so like, there's fundamentally two different ways. One way would be so like either way you have to incrementally show the data because if you the way that it's doing now is like the scan new directory on the model. It calls it calls scan then on this class, then scan initialize the threads and makes the thread execute this function here. Then from this function it's gonna call scan new directory. So it didn't have this stuff here. I just put it to try to debug the problem I was having there. I guess I'm just gonna remove this stuff now. Oh, they had a cache as well here. And I think I left this because I was gonna implement this later. I'm gonna remove this and I'm gonna think about it from the other class there. But basically the way that it works is that after they call the function, remove the, yeah, so it's just this. After they call this scan new directory, it loads everything and then it doesn't show anything because in order for it to show the models, in order for it to show what it has loaded, it has to emit a signal from this class, and then the other class has a callback function on that signal, which is basically this. So the first class, the model, emits the signal file system changed, and then it's going to call this callback function on this class, and this is the function that is going to update the view by calling update tree and passing this get uncollapsed paths. And this update tree function works based on the model, which is basically this thing here. This part is slightly changed, but it's basically almost the same as as it works on the original class. So this is the root folder that the model initializes, and then it is the class that is going to actually create the view. So the problem is that it has to load everything first until before it emits the signal, so it doesn't show anything. Now, obviously, one thing that it can do is to show a loader or something, but it still wouldn't be very good because then you have to wait for the whole thing to load. So obviously, regardless of which path you take, I think it's much better if you load the initial level, let's say, of the roots folder first, and then you emit the signal right away, and then the other class loads everything. And then on the background, this class continues to load the directory. But one approach would be for this class to load everything and then like keep everything on memory, which I think would make it faster when the user interacts with it. And the other approach would be for this class to only load one level and then load everything else dynamically as the user interacts, which I think it makes a lot faster. And like you have not faster, but you don't waste memory pretty much. So like it's a lot easier to think about because it would be just a navigation thing. So like you would work based on the paths that you have. So I think like you could cache. Yeah, I think the logic would be based on the navigation of the path if I did it like this, because then you cache the root directory, should not allow them to. But maybe should allow to go beyond the path. That might be a good idea as well. No, but actually it doesn't make sense because yeah, you have to, because it's not like you're navigating the file system. It's like it's different than clicking a folder on the normal file system. Yeah, so actually because of this it might be different. Just realize this. I think it's still obviously very good to study the other ones because they do have. I saw one function that says something about asynchronous execution, and I do think that they make the loading based on the height, like based on whatever is shown in the viewport. So, and that makes it faster to load. But yeah, it's gonna be fundamentally different because on the file system we have to show everything. Because obviously when they close and then when they open a subdirectory, you're still on the same level, let's say. So the range was gonna be like how further deeper into you go. And probably the best strategy is gonna be somewhere in the middle, because that's how everything works. But obviously the challenge is how do you get there? So and this is going to be reflected on the data structure that you create through code. So obviously it's going to be a tree because of file system directory or file system structure. This is a tree data structure, and then based on the way that they are doing. Well, also I have to just realize that I have to change the name of this as well. So this one, I'm not really sure. Like this is the name of the class that holds the state for each folder. And every time that you have a subfolder, it creates a new class, a new instance of this class to hold the state of the subfolder. So it works like in levels, and then it connects them through a linked list, I think. But it's basically going to be a tree. So what would be a good name for this class? Like FS model directory. I guess I'm just gonna put fs model directory to not spend a bunch of time thinking about this. So like the whole structure is gonna be dependent on this class here, because that's what creates the pattern of the tree. So it's basically a direct reflection of the state of the file system. So the heuristics should determine when you're gonna stop loading stuff. Has to be connected, and I guess like this, probably this logic should be on the new class that I'm creating. I think that would make most sense because the new class is like the bridge between the two. I think it makes sense to do this because it just makes it a lot easier to think about. And it's probably gonna make it easier from the standpoint of the flags. Because then I can encapsulate everything on a function on the model, and I can put the barrier on that function, and just return different things based on whether or not. So I can put the boolean flag on this, and then return if the thing is scanning, the thread is started, then either I return something different, and then I leave the logic for the controller. The controller or the presenter is going to communicate with the view. Yeah, I think probably that's maybe I'll do both actually, but I could do it based on a signal as well. I think I'm gonna draw the layout that I'm thinking about in SkyDraw. It's not very complicated, but just to make it easier to think about. So let me compile. See. So like, if you imagine the tree as being like fully, let's say you have like a shadow that's, so I have the full tree, and then as you load, the tree gets illuminated, and then the full tree is on shadow in the beginning. The question is like, what is the optimal way to find the distribution of the nodes you want loaded? Then obviously another part is going to be the cache, which is just like taking a snapshot of the nodes that are currently open. And then how do you delete, or do you delete or not when they... It's probably better to follow the strategy that Godot follows, which is every time when you use memnew, every time you allocate memory on Godot, it only expands the memory and they don't delete. So it makes it waste more memory, but is faster because you don't have to delete, obviously. So I think it's probably better to follow the same pattern. So only loads, but I do think that you should load more than the user sees. So maybe load one. I think maybe I should do breadth first search, like change the function to do breadth first search, and then load based on the levels. And then each level. And the question would be as well, which makes it a lot more complicated. Is like each level has to be, it's going to be like a recursive pattern. So like each level has to have a range of what's going to be visible in the beginning. I guess you can start based on the roots. Because the level is going to be determined by the state of the instance of this class here. So like the state of this class determines the heuristics should be on this class, should determine how fast, or should determine what you render and what you load based on what is visible. But this is gonna have to be dependent on the viewer. So you should probably have a heuristics on the like control flow on the new class should determine based on a number. So I think first get the data. So I have to figure out how to get the range, the visible range of the class. The other thing that is very annoying is going to be the scroll container. That's going to be extremely annoying. Yeah, because I think that the way that I'm doing the scroll container is from the outside. I don't know for sure. Or maybe not actually. I think I have to. No, the scroll container is different. Because the one that I was doing is for the icon sidebar, I think. Let's see if this one has scroll container. It does have. No, but this is for the dialog. So it's probably maybe no, I don't. I'm not really sure. It's probably on the tree class. The tree class probably has a scroll container. Yeah, I'm almost 100% sure that it makes more sense. So I think that there are two scroll containers. One is on the outside to encapsulate the dock that I put there because I'm gonna put other stuff. And the other one is on the inside. Mm. It doesn't have. The question is whether or not I can think about this later or I have to think about it now. Because I think that this is gonna be one of the most difficult parts. So I need a way to. I think like the problem what makes it very hard and annoying is that like if I'm doing this scroll container based on the outside class, there needs to be a way to communicate with both classes. So I need to pass the data from the because I need to know. It's probably gonna be based on the signal. So the scroll container, I'm 100% sure it's gonna meet a signal when you scroll, and then I have to, based on that signal, update the state of the model, and then update the state of the view. And I need to have a range. So I'm thinking about like you have a range of the height of the how much elements to show. So like probably take like the overall height divided by each cell height. And then that's gonna give you the amounts of stuff you have to show. Then I put some other like tolerance or whatever so that it doesn't lag. Each one's gonna take around 10 milliseconds. So I think that's probably I can do with just 1 second actually. It's not a big idea, I think. So like basically the level the width of each level, which is determined by the state of this class, is gonna be directly correlated with this calculation here and the signal for from the scroll. ChatGPT is saying basically the same thing. Presenter is the best. So I'm gonna do the beginning of the class. The main thing that I have to do in the beginning is I have to change these things here. Actually, I did the wrong one there. I'm gonna change one thing at a time. So I think I can start like I can get I'm gonna try to like refactor stuff and clarify everything first before I think about because I don't think it's gonna matter that much if I like either way if the scroll container is done by outside or not is like a different level of problem. It's more related to the way that I'm building the scene. So since I'm building the scene from C++, I have to like think about the best strategies to connect the different islands, which are the different objects, and it's probably through signals. But I do think that it's going to impact the way that I have to do there, because it impacts the design, but it doesn't it doesn't impact the structure. It's just going to be a difference on where to put the control flow to determine when to load each thing. So this is basically to register the class on Godot. So I'm putting the class on the module, and then when you put the module, just follow the documentation. I'm gonna put the name of the module in the middle of the function here. And here's where you're gonna register all the classes on class DB, which is the class in Godot that manages all the classes. It manages the types, and then the object class is gonna be object DB is gonna be the class that manages the actual objects. Pretty sure that's how I did here. I think this is a static one. I just fine. The first thing to do, I'm gonna have to. So I'm not really sure if I run again the Cortex file, or the function that builds the scene, which is basically this one, and then updates the cache. I'm not sure because I remember that I was changing stuff to test some other stuff, and I think that I removed the icon sidebar because of that. Because I think that one of the class was linking memory when it was done executing, so I don't remember if I changed it again or what I did there. But yeah, so I'm going to. So I'm gonna see. Let me think of this. Yeah, I'm gonna create two different, or like puts the view and the model. I'm gonna add the other one too, just to see what happens. So I'm gonna have to run this again, I think, and I'm gonna change the. I think when I changed everything, it already changed it here. Yeah, the name is. This is the part that I don't remember really well. What I did here. A fast view. So I'm gonna run this again to create the scene again, and then I'm gonna open on the editor to see if it is working the way that it was working before. And if it is, then I can think about how to structure things. The main thing that I wanna think about is like how to incrementally move the stuff from like what things do I need to move from this and from the other class to the new class I'm creating, and how can I simplify the flag variables. And I need to think about a way to incrementally do this. Like, what is the best place to start? I'm gonna go back to the. I'm gonna see if I can find on the history the commands. But I'm pretty sure I remember it's just like running the same command that I ran before without the e flag, which initialized the editor. Because based on the way that I changed that, it's just gonna run the function, the endpoint function that I have to build the scene from C++. But it's been a long time since I done this, and I did a bunch of other stuff. Fonts. It's basically a new flag that I created. This is the problem, is that is leaking stuff. I think that's the reason why I removed one of the classes there before. But I think it's just, yeah, it was something weird that was going on, because like when I think the model is not on the scene. So because it's not on the scene, and because of the way that I'm building, it's not part of the tree. I don't remember, like, obviously they have a way to, like, based on the way that they design is working on the editor. But I think once I change some stuff here, then because this class is not part of the scene, it doesn't get automatically deleted, I think. Either that or was something else weird going on. And I wasn't sure if it was coming from this class or from the icon sidebar. So that's why I did some changes there. And this is why I was doing like this here. So maybe I'll uncomment this again and see. So I'm gonna see first if it's creating the scene. And then if it is creating the scene, I'm gonna uncomment this stuff here to delete the memory when the model is destroyed. I think it's scene generator. I think the order is messed up because I changed some stuff. I think that's... Yeah, I changed this because I was creating the class from the icon sidebar instead of putting it on the scene. And then because of that, in order to simplify to delete. I vaguely remember now. So like the way that I'm doing this now, the last time that I ran, I'm putting this class directly on the scene. But the way that I'm actually gonna do it is putting this through another class, which is the icon sidebar, because I'm gonna have to change what's displayed based on the icons. So it's basically the same logic that they have here. So depending on which icon you click, it shows something different. So I'm loading the class from this other class, but then I think that the reason why I temporarily changed this is to make it easier to debug because I was having this memory leak problems. It doesn't matter that much here, I think, because this is just for when is like closing, but I think that's probably better to try to make it not have these things here. I think that it might be the case here because of the way that I changed the engine to create the scene basically. But if you're running normally the editor version, then it doesn't leak when it stops running. But I don't remember really well. And this is I think that this is related to the way that it loads the SVG files. So the first time that it loads and it doesn't have a cache, it's going to create some import files. So it basically formats the information in the way that Godot can later on load. But I also don't remember really well. It's because of the way that it caches on the scene. I think it's because I changed the name of the icons. So I'm going to uncomment the and I'll have to I think first trying to or see if this is gonna work to clean up the thing. Then if this works, then I have to remember the order that I was doing this. So I was also trying to solve the other problem with the emit signal, the connection of the navbar with the other class. I think this one's gonna become, I'm gonna move this class here, and then on the other one I'm gonna put icon sidebar. And basically this, maybe we should uncomment now. These messages are still weird. So like it does look like it is fixing now, but like these messages sometimes they don't show up. But I think that's At the time that they were not showing up is because of the threads of the big directory there. So it wasn't executing to the end because the thread was stuck loading the massive directory. So I think that's solved. So I'm gonna uncomment this. So this is supposed to be on the body, but I don't remember. I think that's this one has to be here, and then just delete this. Actually, it doesn't have to be anywhere, I think. It's gonna be loaded by the other class, so I have to remember this one. And I have to change on this, the icon started bar. So this one is kind of annoying because of the scroll container. So what I had to do is move the scroll container here, because like it's a problem because I don't know what I'm gonna put on the element. So like this class here is basically the bar that has the icons that are gonna load classes that are gonna change the state of what shows up on the file system. So because I don't know the size, some of them might need a scroll because they don't fit on the thing. And before I was doing the scroll outside of the thing here, but now I'm doing inside of the class because I thought it just makes more sense. But then I had some problems with this as well that I don't remember really well. Because I have to find the target node, which is the dock that is going to change based on the icons by navigating the tree when the class is ready. So I'm just going to go over the logic again. So this initializes the scroll. Here gets the parent. This gets the parent control. There was an issue with the way that the scroll container works. The calculation should display the container. That's, I remember now. It was something along those lines. Like I think the scroll container calculates based on the parent, and then depending what kind of parent I was putting there, it showed the scroll or not. And it's because it determines based on the initial height, I think, the initial width of the two classes, the parents and the child of the scroll, whether or not it's going to show the container. And because the class that I have is dynamic, it might change depending on what class is child of this. So I'm doing based on the name of the SVG files that are inside of this folder for the project. So so it's basically this. I'm using this as a generic project because the way that I'm thinking about it is by creating like the scenes from C++ code, and then for each scene, because basically I think that all the games and all the applications are going to build are variations of classes and the connection of the classes. Like a scene is just a bunch of classes which work like islands, and the islands are connected to the signals. And what creates the scene is the function. So the function that creates the hierarchy of classes. And the reason why it has to be a function is because of the way that the editor works. So the editor exposes the customization of nodes based on the class. So like in order for the editor to be able to know the properties of the node and stuff like that, and when you select the node, for example, it has to be like everything that is encapsulated by that node is like created inside of the nodes as like inside of the constructor, for example, is not going to show on the editor because it doesn't have an owner. So the node kind of like simplifies the logic on the editor. So in order for you to be able to see and customize the stuff from the editor, you have to separate into different classes so that you're able to put the classes on as to make the owner of the classes as the root of the scene. That way they're going to show there on the GUI of the editor, both on the scene tree and on the inspector customization on the right side. So the way that I'm thinking about it is like every scene is going to be a function, and the function is going to be a connection of classes. So instead of creating a bunch of, like I can compose different projects if I create the, like each function that you create and each class you create essentially like increases the pool you have to create other scenes and functions. It makes a lot more sense, I think. And then here I created the logic of the class based on the name of the folder. So basically I'm showing the stuff based on the names of the SVG files that I put here. So this uses ClassDB to see if the file is registered on ClassDB. And if the file is registered, then it's gonna load. So I think that's why it was giving the message there, the warning. So this basically loops over the directory, looks for SVGs. Or if it is an SVG, then it passes. And then here I'm basically creating like this gets the name of the path there, the file name. Then I'm set the icon. And here I'm going to create the class based on the name. So this ClassDB is the class that they use on Godot to keep track of all the types. So first you check to see if the type exists and if it can be instantiated, and then basically this creates the object. Then I'm casting to a node so I can save on this thing here. Because it needs to be a node in order to work with the other functions that come from the node class. I think add child and stuff like that. So I'm basically caching. I'm creating all the classes that I have there as the icons. And then a cache here, and then I'm gonna use this stuff to keep track, or I think for the events. So here on the ready, it finds the target content. And now I'm not 100% sure. I don't remember exactly what I did here, because I'm not adding as a child here. But I guess. Oh no, I add as a child. I add the buttons as children for the icon sidebar, and the classes are gonna be added based on the events of the button. So each button has a margin container, add margin container, and then I put this callback function based on the signal of the button. It's gonna change the state. And then because I cached all the things, and this is the part that is kind of annoying because of the way that I'm doing here. So now I'm just hiding the elements and then showing. I don't remember when do I add as a child. I think I didn't do this yet. I was adding as a child before. So this is the part that was changing. So like before, the way that I was doing is removing and adding as a child the nodes. But I think that was related to the memory leak that I was getting. It's very annoying because the nodes that represent the buttons, they're not part of the scene tree. So it becomes very annoying to keep track of them, to delete the memory later, depending on which node is visible. So I was thinking about, that's why I changed here. So instead of removing and adding, I'm just hiding and showing. But I don't remember how, I think I add there on the ready, probably. And then I hide everything and only show the current one, which is based on the filtering there. So this callback function basically selects the button that was clicked based on the index that it passes there. And then I get the name, and then I get the actual thing based on the thing here. I think I add all of them here. Yeah, so I loop over all of them. This is the So the target name is the name of the dock where I'm going to put the classes that are related to each button. I can ask you control to set the minimum size, and this is related to the scroll container stuff that I was talking about. Yeah, then I add as a direct child. So I add the scroll container to the target control, which is going to be the dock that shows the elements, and then I add each thing to the yeah. So I add everything in the beginning to the scroll container, and then based on the name I display. So I only show the one that is the target, or I think I'm showing the first. Yeah, I get the first element, so the first icon there, and then I show that on the beginning. Which I might change later based on cache. So the element is going to be inside of a content scroll outside of the thing. But I also think that there's two scrolls down. There's one inside of the file system, I think, and one here. But the file system one might be the one that's I get here. So I think I'm not gonna. I should comment this out now. I should put a minimum. I'm gonna have to put this inside of the class there, I think. I'll be right back. Yeah, this is the problem. So it's still getting this stuff here. So this has to be because of the icon sidebar there. So now I don't remember. I'm adding all of them to the thing. Also, I didn't put here. I am deleting from here. So this should delete all of them, I think. But it seems that is the buttons. The thing is that everything that you put as part of the scene, so it is on one node that is like, so basically adding child should be automatically removed at the end because there is some function there on the scene tree that is going to delete the nodes. So because I'm putting this stuff there, I like it isn't supposed to. Or maybe the way that I'm deleting, I think is one of them. Like it might be a combination of things there. Because I do remember there was something like this. That's when I commented out the model. Or it might be. I don't remember. Here I was deleting, as I think the file system is not a part of the. I am adding as a child though. So it might be the other class has style box for. I think I changed this and I put it on the theme class. Yeah. Where is this? I guess one thing that I can do is just look for all the stuff that I'm initializing there. Might be this root node. I'm gonna see everything that is a node here, and I'm gonna delete there. So I'm gonna put an if condition, just see, then I will remove one by one and see if it solves the thing. I'm doing this here. The question is why I didn't delete the stuff. I just do this. So I'm gonna test to see what happens if I delete everything. Just see if it's gonna stop leaking. And if it does, I'm gonna try to remove one by one to see what happens. Maybe this should be a pointer. The thing is, I think that clear is supposed to delete everything instead of the vector. So that's probably why I didn't put there. I didn't loop, but maybe it doesn't actually. Yeah, maybe it doesn't clean. But it is kind of weird because this, like, they are supposed to be part of the tree, the sync tree. So I think that they should be automatically deleted. And because it's a button, it should be the same memory, I think. But not because it's a button, but because it's a pointer. This error happens sometimes as well, and I don't understand like why. But like I do, it is because of the thing that I was talking about, the format. So like the first time it creates the import file, I think it has to do with the way that I did spend like the way that I got the function was from looking to the other parts of Godot. I don't remember exactly which one. I think it is on the functions related to saving the scene or something like that. But it's basically this thing here. So ResourceLoader load, and I think that this is the reason why I had these comments now because I was using this one before. But this one is the exact way that they do there, so I'm not really sure. I have to spend some time studying how it works on how this function works. So if it breaks, I'm gonna go over with the debugger, I think. Yeah. I'm gonna try this one first. I do remember like spending some time, and it might be something related to like cache or something like that. But I don't remember exactly. So it's probably better just to step into. I'm gonna have to open on VS Code. It's probably a good idea to. So maybe it was from here that I got this, but this one is different. But there is a place here somewhere that uses exactly the stuff that I'm using there. So it's something weird to do with the cache, I think. Because I think the first time, like, it checks to see if there is on some cache or something. Then if there isn't, then it's gonna create the import file. And the import file is the one that is on the formats, as far as I remember. I'm not really sure if I should just ignore this for now and then continue on the thing. Because the main thing that I want to do is to change to get to the point where I'm loading the directory based on signals and functions, and it's like see everything related to the thread there. The like all the flag variables. I want to see if I can find a way to minimize the flag variables. And also, I'm probably gonna have to change the scan changes as well. So I think I should probably delete everything. I should probably delete. I've heard this from Elon Musk. Yeah, he talks about, which I think it makes a lot of sense. So like, it's a strategy to simplify everything. So the way you do it is by removing everything, like not being cautious in what the stuff you remove, like remove more than you think, and then if it breaks, then you start adding stuff back. And I think that's probably a very good way to think about things. So I think probably that's what I should do there, is just remove the other threads and remove all the flag variables, and then like start from scratch basically. And that's the point that I want to get there. just see. And I know, like, I want to do that. I'm gonna get over that first, because I know, I don't know. I think it's going to be annoying to figure out. So, but I'm not really sure if I should spend time trying to figure this out first. I should probably just step over everything until I get to the error for the first time, so I know what is the thing that is. I think that's probably the part that checks for the cache, like the name says here. So it might be breaking because of this. I do remember going over at some points, but I don't remember exactly. Like it might be something that's like because you created a cache before, I changed the name of the file and I deleted the import file. It like it's kind of like a similar way, actually not the same as a deadlock, let's say, but yeah. Maybe it relies on having the old import file if you change the name for whatever reason. Or like it's because it maybe it's because it kept on the yeah, I think that's probably like there is a file it has to be on the here. So basically they cache things here. Yeah, so that's probably the issue. I think because it has the name of the file here on the cache. But I don't understand why. Like why wouldn't it create another one? That's the question. Because this is the old one that I have there. I'm gonna press F5 until I get you there. F5 I've done. Yeah, so it's on here. No loader found for resource. It doesn't make sense because it has a loader for SVG, obviously, since you can load the other ones. The problem is if I put a breakpoint here, it's going to stop a lot more times. I think I'm just gonna copy the thing. It has to be something to do with the cache. That's the only explanation. I'm gonna try to put here, and if it triggers this a lot, then just going to remove the breakpoints again. But I think it's something weird with the cache. I have to spend time to change the way that it works there, so that I don't get into this problem again. Every time that I change the name of the file there. So this is the function that determines. So maybe if I pass this type hint, it's gonna solve. This is the third argument. I think it's probably easier. So I'm thinking about passing this type hint. So I'm probably gonna ask ChatGPT. This is a string. So it's the second argument. It's probably just gonna be a string with the dot svg. Image texture. So before I spend more time, I'm gonna try this. This might be something like that. Just put here. But I think that's in order to solve this, I have to understand how this function works, because what I assume is happening is that on the one that is giving the error is not, it loops over all the folders and doesn't recognize the path. So because of that, it continues on all of them and doesn't create the resource. It might be on this function as well. Yeah, so this is the function that is going to create the import file. I think the typing makes more sense should be in enum instead. I'm not really sure why they did with string. So just gonna parse the file. I'm just gonna specify. It still doesn't work. I'll go back again. I think this one is not the thing. It's probably just easier in the beginning to see if it's gonna stop on any of them. Yeah, it didn't go. The problem is on the function here. Nice path. So each loader is gonna have its own recognize path function. Hmm. I think I'm gonna stop streaming here and I'm gonna solve because it's gonna be very annoying. So what I'm gonna do is just like go over all the loaders and the function here for each one and then see why it's not getting the thing. So like the reason why I think that this makes more sense to be an enum is obviously because if it is a string, then you have to guess. You can't just look into the code and see the options. So obviously, like I'm not really sure what I should put there, what I should ask. Maybe I should put SVG or whatever. But maybe actually a good idea might be yeah. But it probably doesn't matter that much since the other one's loading without the hints anyway. So But this might be a good idea actually to put. I'm gonna press F5 to get on the other one because the other one I remember it was on 6, I think. So let's see. So I think that it was this one, but it might be. I think it's probably different actually, because I think this is what happens. The first time uses one loader, and then the other one uses this. Yeah, so he's using this resource format importer. I'll put a breakpoint here. So I think after it creates, it's gonna use this one, but then when it creates for the first time, it doesn't use this one. Yeah, so it's basically checking to see if there is a file with the imports. So it finds based on this. I think the easiest way to solve this is to delete the cache there. I think if I delete the cache of the file, it's gonna work. But I wanna figure out why it does that when I change there and how to fix this. And how to make sure that it is always going to load the thing, regardless of. Because if every time that I change the name there, I have to remember to delete the cache, it's kind of annoying. And I think that's probably not gonna. I think it's not a good idea to continue to build the other stuff before solving this, because you might like I'm probably gonna have as a refactor the other classes there are probably gonna be some bugs, and like if the other bugs increase or like adds memory leaks, it's going to be harder to figure out later. So I think it might be better to just spend time trying to fix this first, and only then continue to. And it might take some time to fix this, so it's just gonna be annoying. So I think it's probably better to fix this offstream. And the problem is that this one's not gonna allow me to. And there's actually I have an idea. I can just delete the. I'm gonna do that now. So I can delete the file from the other one and then see what happens. But maybe I should. I'm gonna roll the RNG. Because I think it's just gonna be annoying to fix this. I'm gonna spend a bunch of time. The fuck? So it's Microsoft Edge, the type of the file? What the fuck? It's probably because some Windows bullshit. This stuff about Windows pisses me off. Like, they change their computer. I don't want to. I think it's just fucked up. You should be the one. Like, you should be the one that has the power to determine when you want to change stuff on your computer. So the whole thing about forcing updates and doing this kind of shit is very annoying. It also, like, after a forced update that they did, some stuff about the Copilot showed up on the taskbar, or however you say the name of the thing on the bottom there. So like, it's just very annoying that they do this kind of shit. It pisses me off. So I'm gonna delete the import file for the other one, and then I'm gonna run again with the debugger to see, because I assume that on the other file it's probably gonna work. So I wanna see. I think I'm gonna do it based on the path. This press F5 until I get to the file with the path, and then I just go over one by one to see which loader is gonna use to load, and then I'm gonna try to figure out why it works on that one and doesn't work on the other one. So this is the one that is buggy. So I'm gonna try to. And this is the thing that is kind of annoying because you have to go one by one. So I'm gonna pay attention to this function here. Yeah, so this condition is if the type is empty. Before type extensions. This is kind of weird. Like, why is it getting the extension here? Oh, it uses here. So I assume it's gonna get all the extensions on and it's gonna put on this list, and then it's gonna compare here with the extension of the current path. So it gets the extension for all the loaders, and each one's gonna have a different function, and then it's going to compare there. So she probably puts the breakpoint on the compare. I'm gonna put a breakpoint here. It's just because I had, yeah, it's just because I had the breakpoints. It's probably not gonna stop when you. I'm trying to see if it's gonna have, if the extensions are gonna have the SVG. So it looks like, yeah, so now both of them don't work. This is very weird. It's because of the type, I think. So I'm gonna remove the type hint and I'm gonna see again. This is gonna be the same. Oh, this is the same shit. So now they both don't create. So I'm gonna remove the type hints to compile again. I'll be right back. Dock. That's very weird because it didn't show any that had the SVG extension. It's probably gonna be the same stuff. Oh, I think I'm already on the. Yeah, this one is supposed to be the one that works, but I think it's because I'm not getting the recognized path for the other loaders. So probably the other loaders have the. I think that it was this one because it was an import file, but the first time it should be another loader, I think. So yeah, that's kind of the problem. I have to put a breakpoints on each one of them. So I need to figure out which loader is gonna load the SVG files. I think that they might have something related to this on the documentation. And there is a comment somewhere, I think. I do remember there is a file. Maybe there is a place that I remember where initialize all the loaders, but I don't remember exactly where it is. So I could go to that place and then go one by one. Maybe I can just search for the name of the function. I want to continue. Yeah, so it is weird that it's not working on that one as well. So it must be because of the cache. I think that's the only explanation that makes sense. But it is kind of weird because I do remember sometimes I changed the name and it did work. But I guess I changed the name of the import as well instead of deleting. I think it might happen when you delete the import file, but you don't delete the cache. Like the question would be obviously what is different. And it might be something on the initialization. But like I don't know, it's still kind of weird. Because it should depend on the name of the file, I think. And because I changed the name of the file. So why is this the only one that has the function? Doesn't make sense. It's basically both this shoe here. Maybe we can search for the name of the file or the name of the folder. This problem is too generic, true. And I think it's not gonna have, like, it's gonna be a function that gets the path. Gets important file. Like, maybe I can. I'm kind of hesitant to delete because then it might be harder. But I guess I can delete. Like, which one should I delete here? I think I should delete these ones and leave the panel. Just see if it's gonna fix. I'm trying to think about like how, because just delete, like, if it works, it's not gonna allow me to solve this. I think that it's something related to the cache, but I don't understand why. Right? It's probably something that is happening in the beginning when it initializes everything. But if it was something like that, then it should be related to the name of the file as well, I think. So it wouldn't make sense to be that, because I changed the name of this file here. It might be because of this thing that they did to change the type of the file. It's like Microsoft. But I think that is more likely that it does the logic based on the extension. So I do think that it gets the extension correctly, and it's gonna search for the loader based on the extension. So the question would be like, why having the cache of the file changes the loader? Obviously, I don't really know if it is because of the cache or something else. I'll compile again just to make sure. So I'm just gonna run without the debugger to see if it's gonna fix removing the cache. No, they don't fix. Hmm. So maybe if I ask ChatGPT, is gonna know. Hmm. Maybe I can, yeah, but I think the problem, yeah, the way that I did there on the icon sidebar, I created the components from the editor, and then I saw how it looked, and then based on that I created the code. So I think the problem is like changing from, instead of using ResourceLoader, to use this stuff here directly. I'm not really sure if it's gonna work because of the, yeah, I think it's not gonna work because of the event. Unless I can set this. Maybe if I ask GPT. Because this function runs on the when it's loading the default theme. and it loads based on the SVG files. So I think it would probably be better, I think, to use this one. So like they put all the file icons on a folder. There's two different folders that they use, which I copied one of them to create the thing that I was creating there. And is the folder that they store. So there's the editor one and there's the default theme one. And they both use similar functions to load everything on the beginning when they're initializing the folder. And then they're gonna loop basically they loop over all the files basically on the folder and then they call this function eventually. So I think it might be better to just do the same thing that they are doing here. But the problem is I'm not pretty sure if I'm gonna be able to use this inside of the button. But I think I'm gonna try because like this one I think is like more guaranteed that it's gonna work regardless. Either way, I think it doesn't matter that much because I think I can figure out how to make it work with the other one. And like the thing is that like for this like phase of the thing, like it's kind of like running the software to build the application. So like the code that I have there is related to building the scene using Godot, but then after the scene is built with Godot, it doesn't matter anymore because it converts everything. Like it's gonna put everything inside the final executable. So like it doesn't matter that it's getting the error there because the final application is like after that. So like I can figure out a way to make it work with the other one. And but I think that's like is kind of worse because then every time there's some change, I'm gonna have to think about this again. So this here is probably better. Hmm. So I could copy these functions and put on the other class. I was gonna look into to this. Also, I'm not really sure about the color, but it's probably gonna be the same thing. I think this is probably the name of the file. It's probably the content of the file. Yeah, that's the difference. That's I think yeah, this file is generated on build time, and they have a script. They have a Python script to load the Python script is going to read the file and it's gonna write this stuff here. And like when it's building the project with these cons, the Python script is gonna create this file, and then they use these bits to. Mm. So maybe I can't use this, but maybe I ask ChatGPT to see if there is another function that I can use. 'Cause I do think that the problem is it has to do with the extension there. So it's not finding the extension for whatever reason. It's not finding a loader for the extension, which is kind of weird. Like I do remember having a problem similar to this before. I think the first time that I had it, I deleted the cache and then it worked. Hmm. I built, oh no, this one is the one that I didn't delete. Hmm. And now I'm not really sure what should I do. Like, should I try to go with this other approach? Because I think that the good thing about this approach is that it's gonna cache the file. And if I go with the other approach, I'm gonna have to delete the. Not sure if delete is the. Because if I'm using a reference, but I think you have to use mem_new there, so you have to delete it in the end. This, and the problem is if I change the extension, like it's not gonna be the correct format. But maybe I could see, I can download an icon as a PNG or JPG, JPEG to try the other extension. Or maybe I can do the other way. Like I can do the same. Like this is another thing that I did, and like I basically copied the way that they are doing for the theme. I was gonna see this later. Like I put the stuff on the folder, and then I created a Python script. I copied the way that they did it and just changed enough to make it work for my stuff. It's basically this script here. So this generates the C++ file that has the bits from the image. Hmm. I think I was thinking about this actually. Hmm. Because the way that they do it on the editor and on the like the default theme is they load all the icons in the beginning, and then on the other places they use a get theme icon and get editor. I think it's get editor theme icon or something like that. So basically a function that based on the name it allows you to get that icon from the theme. Hmm. So like the other approach would be to just put the. I was thinking about that as well. I think so. Like instead of loading based on that, I can make it based on the theme. Like you would still be based on the name because it has to be the same name, so I can use class DB to load the file. But I could put the SVG on the theme instead. It's basically so these functions I also got from them. I think I changed them slightly, or I just got this stuff that I wanted to do there. And this is the one that creates the icons, and this one is the one that registers them. Hmm. So I'm not calling this anywhere. It's weird because I do remember. And the thing is, I don't remember where it stops. So actually, I think. Hmm. But I do think that, yeah, so it is generating the file here. So I am writing, yeah, because this is based on the Python there. But I don't remember now. Yeah, I think I just set this up and then I didn't call this anymore. Yeah, so I set it up because I wanted to, yeah, so now I remember. So I set everything up and I was gonna put the icons on here, but then I decided to just put them as part of the default theme because I was updating some other classes. So like yeah, some of the class that I was getting from the editor, I think was yeah, it was probably the FileSystemDock actually. FileSystemDock, yeah, actually the FileSystemDock. They didn't have they were using editor icons that I didn't have, I think, on the theme that I was using because I created another theme, so I created this theme here. This is the theme that I'm using there. Yeah, basically calling this function when I create this theme to create the theme, and then I'm setting this theme in the on the roots because based on the way that they do the theme context, it searches for the tree based on whatever node you have. So the first time that it encounters a custom theme, it's gonna use that. If it doesn't encounter any theme, it's gonna use the default theme. So I created this theme to change the not layouts but like the appearance or the way that the scroll bar looks because I wanted to make it thinner. So that's why I created this. And then I was going to put the icons uh, that the editor has. Yeah, so because I created this custom thing, then I didn't have access to the icons anymore because I'm getting them from this thing. Yeah, so like so yeah, Godot is gonna try to find the icon on the theme you have, and then if you can't find, it's gonna search for the icon on the default theme. So if you have a custom theme and it doesn't search for the icon on the editor theme, so that's the reason why I created this. Yeah, so I created in the beginning, and I was going to put the icons on this folder to make it parts of the theme that I was going to use here, but then I decided just to put them on the default icon or the default theme together with the default theme. So I think that's the reason why I'm not calling the function anywhere there to generate the icons, so I didn't need. But yeah, now I'm not really sure if I should do something like this now. And the problem is that I'm gonna have to, like, in order to select the icons, I wanted to do this later. I'm gonna have to select another SVG for each of the components that I want to put there. And I want to make it easier to. I guess I could create another folder here for this, or put them on the custom theme that I have here. So the reason why I'm thinking about this is because another strategy there is to, instead of creating the SVG that I'm gonna put on the bottom as inside of the class here, I can just get it from the function, which is the same thing that they do on the editor. So I think that's get editor or get theme icon. is one of them. And the other, I think, is get editor theme or something like that. And so basically they have this function here. And then this is gonna be based on the way that you put the icon there on the theme. So in the beginning, they use that function there to loop over all the icons that they created they generated on the file based on the build system. And then they subscribe the items, the icons on the theme using set icon or something like that, and then passing the name of the components, or the name of the class and the name of the parameter that the icon is going to be related to. So I can use this function, and that's what I did on some situations there. And I think I put default icon as the thing. Maybe it was on the second parameter. I don't remember what's the name though. No, it's this once. So I basically just added here to the default theme. So I can use set icon. So if you create your own theme and then you create set icon, and like depending on the names you put here, you can use the get theme icon function to get the icons, and then here you would put the bits that were generated on the file there on the build time. I think it's because of S name. Is S name here as well? Yeah. Yeah, so it is on the FileSystemDock. That's the reason why. So one thing that I could do is just subscribe so put the icons on the thing that I have there. And then when I'm generating the theme, I call the other function to generate the icons, and then I get them through using this. The question is whether or not I would be able to use this. So it returns the texture 3D. So I can probably use this to put on the button there. Because the way that I'm using this is by calling this set icon function on the button. Mondash, GPT. It might be worth it to do this way that I just said. To put the icons as part of the theme and then just load them. This is another thing that I was thinking. Because I don't have to make them based on the name. I can change based on the class there. That would be, it might be better actually to do like this. So like the way that I'm doing now is looping over the directory, looping over the folder, and then based on the name of the files, I get the SVG file, and then I create the texture based on that. But obviously what I can do is just put conditions here, and then I wouldn't, actually maybe I will still loop over. Yeah, I guess the problem is that like the loop is more dynamic, we don't have to change later. But obviously like I can make like any pattern that I want here, and then based on the pattern I put the name of the class that I want to create for that icon instead of looping in the directory. I think if I do like that, the downside is that every time that I want to add a new icon, I have to change the class, which is not very good. I think that's the reason why I did it this way here, because this way all I have to do is add another SVG file, and it depends on the project as well. So whatever SVGs I have on the special folder, the sidebar icons folder for the project, is going to generate as an icon, and then it's already gonna have the class. But like this is kind of pissing me off. Like, not really piss me off, but it's just kind of it doesn't feel very good. Because I should have like something that is I know is gonna work for sure. And it seems that this one's not very good because of the format. Like it seems to me that the theme icons are more reliable than using ResourceLoader, and they might be faster as well to load. Because you essentially already have the stuff on bits on the C++ file. So if I did it like that, what would change? I guess I can do the same. The question, I guess, is like, how do I determine what shows up there based on the project? I can keep the way that it is, and then, like, the thing is, like, it might be better to change the way that. So instead of making based on the children of this directory here, the files of the directory, if I made it based on the thing, then I can loop over something else here instead of the thing, because then I already know that I'm gonna have the icons on the thing. I could make it based on the constructor or another function, but it's kind of annoying because I think that they like Godot requires you to have empty constructor because of the way that they initialize the object. So like I want to avoid putting here, so because obviously I can put like a vector here, and then based on the vector, I can like load the thing based on the pattern. So it would just be a vector of the name of the classes that I want to load. And then I make the icons based on the name, put them on the theme, then just call get theme icon instead here. And then instead of looping over the directory, you just loop over the vector. Like the thing, it might be better to do like the problem is if I want to avoid putting the function here, I would have to put the function outside, and then I'll have to remember like to call the function outside, and then like it might be I would have to change the other parts, I think, which would be very annoying, and it wouldn't be very good because I always try to avoid doing this. Every time that you have something that you need to remember to do is obviously worse because then increase the probability you're gonna forget at some point, and then I guess you can put messages, but I think it's better to avoid. To make it as easy as possible to, because the way that I'm thinking, like every function, the easiest way obviously would be to hard code the names, but then it is not generic, so it's like it depends on. I do think it's worth it to make it generic so I can use on other scenes if I want, and just make it based on the data. And this option I don't like it very much as well because of the thing there. The question would be as well whether or not I should put this, because I can make it part of the default theme, or I can make it parts of the theme that I have there. But it might be better to just make it parts of the default theme. But then I'm gonna have to spend time selecting. Yeah, I'm not really sure what's the best way. So ChatGPT likes this approach. Hmm. It might be better. The only downside now is that I would have to. The problem is that like I'm using the two different classes there to test. So like I don't want to make an icon for panel, for example, because I think it should be generic. And I do want to put them on the default theme because I don't want to have to remember to put my own theme there on every scene. And I think that the name of the classes like are unique enough to not mess up other icons. So like it would be fine to only have one icon, for example, for the, and I guess I can always like add a number at the end if I want more icons to represent a file explorer, for example. Like essentially got this icon here for Explorer tab. The problem is that I don't know what I'm gonna do on the other sections. I guess I only need two icons, but the problem is I only know that I'm gonna do the Explorer, so I'm not really sure what. But I guess it's not that big of a deal because you just put a panel there or any icon for the panel, and then remember to change later. And then I could change the way that I'm loading the icons. Like the instead of looping over the directory, I can do something else. I'm gonna stop streaming here, and I'm going to think about this. What's the best solution? Yeah, I'm gonna stop streaming here. So I want to solve this before I continue to work on the other class. So after I solve this, I'm going to implement. So like the first thing that I want to do is, like I said before, to make everything dependent on signals instead of putting stuff here. So I want to get to the point where I know that it works in the same way that it was working before, but now is like I have the other class there. And once I get to the point, then I can look into the customizations or the improvements. So it's probably gonna be changing this class. So I'm gonna study the other projects there. This one and Qt, and Dolphin. This one I think is probably gonna be, I'm not gonna change much because most of all the signals here are related to the view. This functions as well. This functions as well. This one is the main one that is not. So I would remove this. Would remove most, yeah, this one as well. So basically I think I have to change to remove anything related to the file system. So I'm probably gonna comment everything out and then move this stuff to the other class. Yeah, then on the other one I call scan from the model. So from model here, I call scan. And then I send a signal. So I'm gonna connect both of them through signals. And once I get to the point where they're both working, then I change the model first to, I'm gonna have to study the open URL, I think, function from one of the classes on the KIO. Yeah, but I'm gonna focus on trying to solve this first. So I'm probably gonna change. I think I'm gonna change to use theme icon instead. This is probably better and is less likely that it's gonna give me problems later. So I think what I'm gonna do is just put them as part of as part of the default theme, the same thing that I did with the other icons. So basically here they separate based on comments here. And then they put Yeah, so I think they separate by class. So the second name is the class, and the first name is the attributes. So I can search for where the normal button is, and then I can just put add to different or add other icons. And then I just put the name of the class there as so like I put button on the second one, and then the first thing is gonna be the name of the class. Then on the function there, the icon sidebar, I can just use get theme icon, and then I can think about whether or not it's going to be good to, instead of looping over the folder, to get the names of the classes. I think that it might be better to just loop over the folder still. Unless I can think about a way to make it work. But I can think, like, there isn't any way that I can think about. The only way would be to pass through the constructor. I think it would be better probably to make it like on the code, because then obviously like for each thing that I create, I can just write the whatever classes I want there to show on the icon sidebar, instead of having to create the folder and then having to create the files inside of the folder to put the names. But I want to spend some time thinking about if there's an easier way, because I do think that it's better to make it based on the data. So like make it based on the code. So like I create a vector with the names of the files that I want, and then I add them to the default theme here, and then I still keep the logic on the icon sidebar, because it's basically going to create the class based on the name of the icon. So I can just make the logic to see, like loop over the vector, and then call get theme icon instead of the ResourceLoader load, and then on here just do based on the name of the vector. I'm gonna stop here. I'm gonna continue to try to do this. Probably next time that I stream, I'm going to continue trying to optimize the file system view dock, and I'm gonna work on the moving things to the presenter, and then optimizing the model and making so that I can load large directories incrementally. So see you next time.